Okay, so now just quickly show you what you do to sort of plant out your seedlings. Unfortunately, the seeds that I planted last week aren't quite ready for planting out, but let's demonstrate using some lemon balm seedlings that I've got here, but the principles are the same. Okay. So my seeds are probably 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks away from planting out. Okay, so these are probably a little bit more developed than mine will be when I plant them out. But you know, I'll probably have similar kind of densities. And so what I'll do is I will get them out of there and squeeze. And then what I'll do is I will just kind of ease things apart. And the important thing to know is that there's kind of 3 main parts to a plant: the leaves, the stem, and the roots. And what's really important, you can lose a few leaves, you can lose a bit of roots, but if you accidentally snap that stem, that's the bit that links the solar panels to the source of water and other nutrients. That's a failed plant, whereas that's kind of fine. So what we do is we're trying to, I mean, these are a bit more mature than they would be, but you're trying to preserve sort of top to bottom, some leaves, beautiful stem and some things, and then you're just popping it in and spacing nicely. You've got to think about how big the plant's actually going to be, because if you crowd them together too much, then they compete with each other, and it's almost like planting one plant. So there we go. All right. Now this is in a premium potting mix, which has got a bit of nutrition in there. I would probably just water this and leave that. But most of the plants we're growing this time of year are leafy greens, and they love a regular supply of fertilizer. You don't need to be too strong with it. Power feed is fantastic. I generally do it a little bit more dilute than recommended on there, but I probably every 2 weeks I'll just give them a feed, and that really helps them grow on nicely. Keeps them, and then it allows you to cut the leaves frequently. Take the leaves frequently, nearly always from the outside, and for all of these things, and that actually keeps the plant young and limits its desire to actually create flowers and flowers and seeds and die. So if you keep them growing strongly, they stay sweet and sweet and young. Things that can let you down at times can be slugs and snails. This stuff here, the multi-guard, is actually a pet-friendly slug and snail killer. So it actually breaks down into it's an iron-based product, and it actually breaks down into a bit of a fertilizer. So and it's quite attractive to the slugs and snails. I generally don't, unless I've sort of seen signs of things. I don't normally do this by default. But if you've got other things going and you've seen signs of slugs and snails, then yeah, be proactive. Okay. And then I'd water this, and away we go. And then, yeah, probably every 2 weeks after planting, I would use some of this to just boost these plants along.